Hi Decoders. This week we're looking at all the ways we try running a pace that's not really our own authentic pace in the moment. How embarrassing. So let's decode what's happening there.
Hi, I'm Kiran Trace. Welcome to Humans Decoded, a story of hobbits, fairies, elves, dwarfs, gnomes, and humans. If you get lost at any point, there is a deep dive on all the different avatars in episode 1. It includes notes. Thank you for joining us in a fun little chat about the vast potential of our human makeup.
Hi Cami. Hi Leela.
Hey everybody in the world.
Hi loves.
I'm so grateful for this conversation. Sorry, just to jump in. Because I am always in a place where I'm being asked to move way too slow than what I want to go. Or internally, I'm being pressurizing myself to move way too fast than what's true for me. So I'm really happy to crack it open and look at all of this with both of you.
Yeah, same. And we're talking about avatar rhythms. And I'm also excited to talk about it because it's like a roadmap for the unique way that each of us move. And it's so unbelievably helpful to know that these are your rhythms and they're natural. And then you're not making yourself feel bad for not looking like that person's rhythm or, you know, moving as fast or as slow as that person moves. And I feel like we're a very niche corner of the internet, so it's not like this is widespread knowledge. So it's always nice to revisit the avatars.
Yeah. And, you know, I love how this podcast is kind of my practice. The practice of expose your shit, don't sweep it under the rug. And then you get to harvest the fruit. So I feel like this is what I'm doing week after week. And same with this here, with the rhythms, because in some areas, it's like I'm only discovering my authentic pace right now because lots of my movements around work are coming from a belief system that was masking as authentic. And, you know, I spent my life before all this just pushing and efforting from what we would call a belief of being completely unworthy. So I have to prove my worth with a lot of effort and work. And then I kind of just flipped it on a head to the other side and I started to move very much like a cat, like, if I'm in the mood, I'm going to do it. If not, fuck it. But generally, I'm super languid. And it turns out that was just Unworthy's cousin, not capable. Who would have thought behind it? So
I think it's great to say too, because it's easy to mistake that la as a delicious yes. And decoders know this all the time. That for a long time it felt like, well, that's a delicious yes, because like, well, just see if I want to do it. And to actually scrape down deep enough to be like, oh no, it was a la flip. And la of course, decoders is that bubbled off story.
And it's maybe a little shocking, definitely a little embarrassing to, after kind of 10 years of practice, discover this. Like, oops. Oopsie. It's pain body. It's a la. Who would have thought? But anyway, it's like I'm starting to see it, thank God. And it starts to heal and fall away. And I'm really wondering, like, so what is my authentic rhythm? What does my elf efficiency actually look like? And, you know, I always find it so helpful to talk about this here and then hear what you guys have to say about it. And that kind of, you know, I take it with me throughout my week and apply it to my life. It's like, oh, right, hang on. We talked about this on a podcast. So yes, yay. Thank you already.
And I think the decoders is so great. Like, we're with you. Like, we are listening, articulating, you know, like I'm listening to Leela, I'm listening to Cami, and they put in these other perspectives And I'm hearing it like you guys, Decoder, in a way, and then it's crystallizing throughout the week and bringing me these great insights. I think for me, it's really, really exciting to revisit the conversation about these avatar rhythms, because when you are in your true rhythm, your deeper rhythm, or like the real rhythm, that's where you find your magic, like your personal deeper magic. So I find myself like these days having a number of conversations around this theme, because I'm seeing that people have this, like, to me, it looks like, oh, that's just a simple entanglement. But to them, it feels really complex or chaotic. And I can see the solutions like, oh, you're just trying to use an elf rhythm instead of the gnome that you are. Or you're a fairy, be random. Like, random is the fairy motto. That's the rhythm. Like, go for it. I can see these people feeling this, like, tied up and pressurized. And it's like, you're trying to not be random. But you need the power of random, or if it's a hobbit, like, oh, you're trying to move at a very high speed. But hobbits, you need to move slowly, because there's a power to feeling your way through everything. That's your power, is to feel it all. And you can't do that quickly. I was talking to my staff recently too, and I was like, okay, well, listen, what we're trying to hire here is a hobbit position, and that's going to take more time than we think, because to begin with, they're going to apply to the job later. Like, they'll be the last applications coming in, like right before the due date, because they need to feel it all out, and that takes some time. Anyways, I just keep finding it's this endlessly useful pointer, even though people know it. It's so good to hear it again and again and again from a slightly different perspective.
Yeah, so can you break it down for us? Like, color in these kind of avatar rhythm shapes a little bit more for us, Kiran.
Okay, and this is fun. We can kind of do this together. We all know this, you guys. Okay, I always like to start with the fairies. The fairies are a rarer movement, and I feel like the fairies get the biggest brunt of trying to be different, trying to be an elf pace, or a hobbit pace, or a gnome pace, trying to be A to B instead of these random spurts. So, okay, we call the pace of a fairy Moona. You guys know this. It's like the moon, the power of the moon. Cami says the thing that is just, it's so true. The best time for a fairy to do something is in the middle of doing something else. And that's it. They juggle. And so it's like a lot of plates are juggling, and they go about each plate with this real beautiful sort of enthusiasm and like starter energy, which is another way to say it's like random, like a random way to do something. So imagine you've got 5 plates in the air. So they're all, and you're not juggling plate 1, plate 2, plate 3, plate 4. You're going juggling plate 1, plate 3, plate 1, plate 5, plate 3, plate 4. Imagine that kind of enthusiastic opening energy that's like, you guys, I got to tell you something, that just sort of breaks into the middle of a conversation. There's this thing that's happening, and then poof, off again. Like, that's the fairy vibe, right? That's the Moona vibe. So what's so gorgeous about it is they randomly end up getting these vibes or these tastes. And then as soon as a fairy has kind of got a whole sensational, vibrational, sort of felt sense of, I don't know, the project or the object or relationship, pop, instant manifestation. But let's go through it. So it's like, let's say you're a fairy and you're going to buy a home. So what happens is you're randomly walking down the street. But then there's this alive enthusiasm to pick flowers in this meadow that's like off onto you can see just through the side, little alleyway, and off they go, and there's this enthusiasm, this beauty, and this delicious like flowers meadow, But then that's happening, and it's alive, and it's so full of the senses, and there's such a sense of it. And then halfway through that meadow walk with a handful of flowers, it's like pop, another plate pops in, which is a lot of energy to like, head home. And it's like, great, like, so they turn around to head home, and then there's a lot of energy to follow that cute little curving, old country street. So it's like, oh, and an enthusiasm to do that. Flowers go in the backpack, and it's suddenly the long way home. But on all of this, like, a fairy sees a color that lights them up inside, like the pink of this flower. And it's like, I would love a pink home, like secretly tell themselves, like, I would love a pink home, right? And then like randomly they're looking at a little house on the street that has this front stoop. And it's like, I completely forgot when I was a child that my aunt had this front stoop. And I love to sit with her on that front stoop. I totally forgot. Like, these are random things coming in. They're not making a story yet of the house, or just these random pieces. You get home, you get a vase for the flowers, but then you realize, oh, as a fairy, I need to water all the pots, and the flowers get put down and the vase gets put down, and now it's watering cans being filled with water, and then there's this pop of like, oh my God, a south facing garden full of pots and flowers is like my life, like it's like I couldn't live without it, and then whatever, there's this enthusiasm to go back to the flower decorating and putting them together. And so they're juggling these projects. And I'm using this domestic projects, but it can be work projects. And they're juggling in them. And then it's a very big surprise to the fairy, as much as any of us, whenever that sort of vibe completes itself. It's like suddenly, through all these random occurrences, there's this whole finished flavor of this house, but it's so beautifully populated in random ways, and random life experiences. And that's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And it's a special sauce for the fairy. And that's how the puzzle pieces get put together. And it's essential that it's random. And, we've talked about these rhythms before in the Wealth podcast, and we can link to that show notes. But there we talk about the different financial rhythms of each avatar. But it's kind of a hack here. When the fairy can have this whole vibe randomly put in place, whether it's the house or maybe it's an object they want or a relationship or a service. It's so incredible how it instantly manifests, even when it was like not on the horizon. Using the housing thing, the housing market was really small in this area. There was nothing available at all that was like pink with a stoop. But then suddenly, wait a second, there it is on the corner of Main Street. It's right there. Like, it's amazing how well that works for the fairies.
I mean, that sounds awesome. I love hearing about the authentic fairy ways. But as an elf, I want to hear, though, what's the real pure elf pace when it comes to, let's say, finding a house or finding your furniture or your perfect interior design, like things you love.
Right.
What would be our way?
Yeah, our way. We are so direct to be. So we have an idea of what we want, and we obsessively research, explore, gather data, etc. We not only see what it is we want, so I don't know, let's say the house or the couch, as you said, then we'll go look at like every company globally that makes a couch like that. And we'll compare and contrast the best versions of it. We'll look at the different fabrics. We'll look at to see if you can order new fabrics or if another company has better fabrics. There's just this, we'll compare price charts. We'll compare delivery charts. We'll look at the history of it. We'll stay with it until we know it's perfect, right? That's the perfect couch. It's the only couch. And that is sort of like this really yummy thing that kind of goes on. And sure, it could go on for 3 weeks or 3 days or 3 hours. And there might be other things we're doing, but not really. That's most of our awareness or attention is in this place. And so it's even to say, like, we're not even A to B. We're like, we stay at A until we can vision the whole thing all the way through to the finality in one like fell swoop. And we obsess on this vision until we see the whole arch. And then we move to B. So the elves' superpower is the idea, the vision. We can't execute anything. We can't move to the next movement until the whole of this whole movement is seen. And so, although elves move very fast, we need time to get through the whole vision. And so, we are obsessed. We are skimming. We are gisting. So, any kind of hack is elf territory, right? So AI is our homeland, our motherland, usually, or could be. And also it's sort of like, don't really bother us until we complete the vision. Until that vision's fully populated, like, I'm only partly available. But
just a little sidebar here.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that my obsessiveness is part of my elf nature.
Right?
So I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Like my 17 tabs that are currently open because I'm researching snowboards.
Yes. And you're only sort of available for anything else because it's always snowboard running there, collecting data, waiting for that vision to like fully populate all the way. And that's like, for instance, versus like a hobbit. Hobbits have to go slow because they have to feel each step. They got to feel out A before they can even consider B. So then you replace vision with felt sense in a hobbit. So they cannot see the whole project. They can't do it. So a hobbit, for instance, if a hobbit's like, I don't know, looking at a recipe or something, a hobbit's going to walk to the pantry 5 times because there are 5 items that are needed in the recipe. And step 1 is butter. And so a hobbit's going to feel the way through that. They're going to go to the pantry and get that butter and then bring it back and put it in just the right bowl for that's going to be the right size for the butter. And then step 2 is sugar. Back to the pantry for sugar. Pull the sugar out, look at the sugar. Is it caster sugar or white sugar or granulated sugar? Like, what's the sugar? What's the right bowl for the sugar? Then step 3 is vanilla. Back to the pantry for vanilla. Versus an elf, we visioned the entire recipe. We had one trip to the pantry and got all 5 items. But when we came back, we also were sort of hacking the entire cooking process until it's almost already done when we start cooking because we've just hacked it, and then our food tastes lovely, but the real delicious food is those hobbits, or the gnomes, so it's like superpower of a hobbit is to, feel it out before you move to the next step, feel it out. And that's why hobbits, sometimes they feel like, oh, I'm too slow or I'm too dumb or something. And it's like, not, it's like, nobody's saying that, you got to feel this thing out. But now gnomes, gnome cooking, they have to hole in because they have to spiral through details. And the superpower is the small details and especially sensual details. And in fact, a gnome may never get to be, but that is the best butter that one could ever use for that cookie recipe. It is at the perfect level of meltedness, but not fully melted, but has gonna be really great when you whip the egg and the sugar in because of the aeration of it. But actually, for true perfection, like the detail down, is chilled. So we never got to part B.
I have a new gnome friend, and I say something like, "I love coffee," and he's like, "Cool. Do you want to learn to roast some?" Like, or like, "Here's a link to my friend's farm, and they make the best coffee, and like one bag is like $100."
But
so I'll like throw out a very general interest, and he'll be like, "Cool."
oh my God, the gnomes with that sensual detail. It's so fantastic. And it's actually why almost in any position that they're in, they're so fabulous at it, but leave them alone. You know, they like let them work on their own. You know, like, God, don't pressure the elf or the gnome. I mean, don't pressure a gnome to speed through detail, because they're super detailist. They're going to bring you what is the perfect element of that, you know?
Yeah, and he made me a ceviche, and it was like a deconstructed 3-part saga. It was like unbelievable. I mean, it was like total artistry. So thank you, gnomes.
Yeah. But it would be uncomfortable for a hobbit to take on that level of detail, because a hobbit has to feel each step, right? And so they can't feel that level of super small sensual detail the way that the gnome who's researching it and looking at that 360, all the perspectives is. You know, we talk about this all the time, and it's really hard because how each of us present that rhythm or that pace has some part authenticity and some part not, as Leela has just said. You know, like, she's been in practice for a long time, and in this one area of her work life, there's been this fake languid movement, and to, you know, start to decode and deconstruct that habit and see that it's wasn't authentic is the name of the game. And that's why we keep going back to, like, what is the authentic rhythm? What is your story that might be in the way? And to just really honor people's journey, that it takes some time to uncover that. And I just think, like, we can have these judgments around things, and I think, like, hobbits get pressured to move too quick, but they have to feel through it, and that's the superpower. Or fairies get pressured to not be random, but it's an internal pressurizing by their own systems. Or like dwarfs. Like, dwarfs are grandiose in a way. Now, there are some dwarfs, like a comedian's grandioseness, that is hard to spot as grandiose next to, like, Jason Momoa's grandiose, you know, but they're both dwarfs, right? So one's like a little more like funny, standing up, like painting a picture, where the other one's like literally like massive grand gestures all the time, you know, like, and so one might go, well, I don't think I'm a dwarf, you know, like, no, you're not doing it on the scale of him, but it's the same essence. But so, you know, dwarfs get a little bit caught in these general cliches, but they just put their considerable resilience and energy to push. So they push and power it to be. They don't use detail. They're not into the sensual detail. They have to push too hard. Like, their resilience is the superpower in a way. So there's no detail, there's no vision, and also no felt sense, because the superpower is like the push and thick skin. So shoulder throughing it. And it's just like the elf's like superpower is just do it, right? Like, just go for it. Like that Nike campaign or something speaks to the dwarfs, you know, just work hard, just go for it. And it juices them. It's an energy that just fuels a dwarf. You know, that's the way. And so if they're like being asked to like think through really subtle, deep awarenesses or vision where this is going to, it's like, you know, like, just push. And they're not wrong for them. Humans are like a immediately. Like, they're just aware of a trend or aware of the role. Like, and it's super juicy and it's so fun. Like, their superpower is the awareness of a role. And we can go really extreme, like the Jason Momoa of a human might be like a trad wife, as we call them, the traditional housewife, for you guys that don't know the Gen Z lingo. Trad wife, it's like you're at home, you make everything from scratch, you love the female gender stereotypes and you love the male gender stereotypes, right? Like, that's a trad wife role. But it could be like a soccer mom, or it could be like the Chinese Ken. I don't know if you guys know that, Gen D. That is this really kind of like male, handsome, emotionally available, loves to do domestic chores for women for hire. So women hire these really pretty, beautiful men to come and like do the laundry and do the cooking and actually like clean the fridge, get the groceries. But also, I'm having a bad day, make me a cup of tea and sit there and listen to me. They tend not to be more than that. Like, so it really is sort of an emotionally supportive housekeeper. But I tell you, it's a human who would know how to do that role so good, so it's like the human men would make these beautiful Kens. So anyways, and it's just like right now, and it's so beautiful because it's like no one else knows that really appropriate Chanel suit for that event, or those, yes, make the cupcakes for the parents as well. Or yes, Christmas up the place on December 1st, like, yes, do it, or yes, this is exactly the process of how a board governing a business should appoint a new secretary. Like, that's the superpower for the human, is the deep understanding of the role and the appropriateness, because no one else is going to do it. So that's the superpower. But if we don't have those authentic rhythms just available to us, our internal false stories or pain bodies hijack us. Like, God, they hijack us feeling like shame or betrayal or failure or not capable when we're not in that rhythm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the process of seeing through some of these movements in myself that are initiated by the belief system of not capable, like this pain body of not capable that makes me go about my tasks in a very, very random, seemingly fairy-like way, but it's not authentic. So I don't get magic, I get bullshit. Because I'm starting to see that not capable is always trying to get me away from a directness. I think I shared that in last episode as well. Like, perceive that the moment sort of has a directness that my authentic actual A to B has, but this pain body, this belief system is kind of trying to get me out of the fire line. And just this weekend I was reminded why this firing line feels so horrible to my system. It's my mom's a human, so to her, when something shows up as this needs to be done, it needs to be done right now. Maybe it needed to be done 5 minutes ago. Like, it's so urgent. And I grew up with a lot of that pressure to get shit done just right away, like this urgent movement. And yeah, so it's perceived as sort of a pressure on me that makes me want to move a little bit to the left of what's actually A to B. That's making me move like a cat, like away from the thing. And yeah, as I said before, it's not doing me any favors for sure, because again, it's a pain body movement, and it's sort of bringing in a confusion or a muddiness to the moment that the moment itself does not have. The moment is crystal clear. And an example of how I feel like I'm failing as an elf, or how not capable is telling me I'm failing as an elf. I was like, when we start to get an episode together for the podcast, I kind of come in with just cues and pointers, and then I feel like I'm not eloquent. I'm just this Swiss sort of farmer peasant stock that isn't capable to bring her point across. But it's not actually true, because it's like out of the cues and pointers, eventually sentences form themselves, or like paragraphs form themselves over time. But it's a bit frustrating, or I'm a bit ashamed. Not capable is a bit ashamed, because it's not efficient, you know?
But it is
what
actually
it feels
your
like.
third language, English. And you are very eloquent, but that pressure to be immediate actually
Yes,
blocks what would be
right.
naturally quite available.
Yeah, there's this sort of perfectionism that's coming from a I'm not good enough belief, or also, yeah, the frustration to not be able to express exactly what I want to say right now with just the perfect words. But you know, it's not limited to my third language. I have that same frustration in Swiss German as well. So
Well, then it's just
never
elf
mind.
arrogance.
Yes.
But, you know, I can hear that because I have a lot of internal pressure too. And it's the same, my belief system of not good enough. And it's the same, you know, the experience is different. Like I wake up in the morning and there's always like 100 emails that have come in that I need to deal with. And I cannot do a think through everything they're saying, everything I want to say, listening to what's true in the moment, listening to the simplest and most available solution immediately with 100 emails. And so it's the same as the pressure your mom's setting up. Like, I have to take some time. But I keep looking at that tally, like, you know, I just spent an hour and it's only at 98. There's still 98 of them to get through. And that's when I get that I'm failing. I'm a failure. I'm letting everyone down, you know, like people have spent, you know, 100 hours listening to the podcast, or they've spent, you know, like 2 hours, they've invested all this time, and it's like, I internally is like, you're a failure if you don't reply immediately with the best, you know, truthful arc. And, you know, it's like, not true. It's like life will absolutely open for me to respond to each of these emails in the right time and in my elf way. But I trip myself up in that way.
Yeah, I can think of hold on. I had this instance recently where I had to break some hard news to this forum who has about 500 of the people that I work with. And because it was a little bit sensitive, you know, the news that I wanted to share, I decided to first get in touch with the admins about it and have a little discussion with them. And then they ended up making me an admin. And then instead of sharing the news straight away, they kind of sat on it, and it just felt like it had been way too long. And I had this enormous frustration, and in my bones, it just felt like now, like we have to share it like now. And then luckily I had a brief check-in with Kiran, and she was like, why are you an admin? What's the value in that? Like, you're random. Why are you going through the official channels? Which was absolutely true. I just posted it despite technically not having the go-ahead from them. And the response was just general relief and more clarity, and it felt like right action moving, like this dam becoming unclogged. And And so, yeah, for me as a fairy, it's really easy to shame myself out of these very natural, authentic impulses because I feel like I should do it like the other people. I should go through the appropriate channels. I should follow suit. And I mean, for all the fairies out there, who in your life has ever told you your superpower is being random? Probably nobody ever. So it's like very, very sweet to be able to embrace that. And yeah.
I just want to say, like, because we always say with fairies, like, put a little more context, like, make sure there's context in what you're saying, is to support the randomness. But it could be easily interpreted as, like, go through the right channels. Like, I could see how, like, fairies, note, contextualize it for people because you're coming in so random. Like, put in the context. But you can so easily hear put in the context means, like, go through the right appropriate route, fairies. Like, I can see that easily gets mixed up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, I think fairies especially carry a bit of that shame that, like, we're not doing it right. So, maybe if you look more official. But there's totally a type of magic when we're in our authentic rhythms. And I'm very much learning to embrace this randomness, this kind of fairy way. And lately it's been setting my creativity alight. And it feels so authentic to me and so yummy in my body. And a kind of physical illustration of that is the way I'm currently practicing painting in my studio. So I have 4 canvases on the go, and I'll just pick one up, have a play, put it down because I got depleted, go home, hang out. I hang out with my friends for 3 days and then go back and have a monster productive day of painting. And it just has such a randomness in it. Like, it's almost like playing Russian roulette with whatever project I'll pick up that day or that moment. For example, I was painting and then I was like, I want to go bake a cake. So I went to the supermarket, bought all the ingredients, got home, realized I'd left the butter. So I watched the British Bake Off instead. And I don't know if I'll ever pick that up again, ever. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to bake a cake. If I ever do, it'll be such a lovely surprise, even to me. So I think it's the permission to not have to track it or care whether any of it makes sense. And it's just giving me this enormous freedom, which I think has always been true, but I'd just never been given the permission for it, or I'd never allowed myself to truly just be that random.
Yeah, we know what's going to happen. It's going to be like suddenly so randomly delicious to make a cake. It's going to be a delightful version of a fairy cake. And the phone will ring and it's somebody's birthday you randomly forgot about and you had a cake. Like it's how it works. If you know me, my side project or always on the go is real estate. I have to admit it. It's deep in my blood and bones. It's my crack since I was a kid. Is like, what 12-year-old has a subscription to Architectural Digest? Me. And like by the time I'm like 18, there's like 7 zines of like interior design, architecture, honest to God. It's like, and building materials. Like, it's deep in the bones. Anyways, here's the elf A to B obsessive flow, right? So a real estate ad, because of course I follow real estate, PS globally. Like I know the markets in most of the world. But I have a friend in a different country and an ad came up that I thought was, interesting. And I've been collecting information for my friend about a house because he wants to buy a house. And I've been able to sort of narrow where I think he would be most fulfilled living and working. And obviously it's me, so I can see a lot more challenges than he can, and I can see a lot more possibilities than he can. So it's just this obsessive project that brings me so much joy. Oh my God, it's in the background all the time, and I just love it. I love it. I love it. I love gnawing away at the vision. So like, this morning I see this ad and it's this house and it's in the perfect location. And so then I'm like a light, and I can't settle until, listen to this, till I gotten all the way through how this particular house would serve or not serve all of the needs. And so this includes me having the most fun researching, the entire neighborhood, including exact distances to restaurants that serve his favorite foods, the coffee houses that have the brews he would like, the exact distance to event spaces where he likes to be, parks, and like the theater or the operas, or like, I need to know the exact distance to the house that is. Not just that, people. I will always do this. You can guarantee I will always see the renovation needs to any property to better suit anyone's needs. And not only that, I'm going to take the time to explore the materials that are best used in those renovations to make the most fulfilling daily rhythm. So like, I'm researching architects and contractors close by who could do the renovations with those materials. I have to get to all of these movements before I can see that this property is useful to him or not useful to him. And that information is like the most joy. So this morning, I got all of that in about 2.5 hours this morning, because I like to move at the speed of light with my obsessive research, because it's just so delicious. And it looks like a lot of details, but it's gisting the details. I get a quick essence of how I can renovate the kitchen, how I would actually flip it to the other side of the house, or how the second bedroom is actually better as a home office for him, and how like a backyard is going to need like which levels of it redone. And so a gnome, for instance, might take 3 weeks for that kind of deep dive of those very, very specific sensual details. I'm moving at a different pace. I'm getting a gist, like, it cannot be these cement floors. It has to be something warmer. Should it be wood, like a pine? No, like a bamboo. Oh, yeah, it's cork. Okay, quick, in this country or close to this city, are there cork deliveries? And does the cork, is it modern cork that looks like hardwood? Oh, yeah, okay, and there's a dark tone, because it would definitely be a dark tone. Okay, great, we're going to replace the cement with a dark tone cork. Are there 10 or 12 well-starred contractors in the area who can do foundational work? Okay, cool. This is how I know if this is going to be useful, but I'm gisting those materials. And it was like, oh my God, the best gift ever. That was delicious.
To all the elves out there listening, including myself, who are like, oh shit, I'm not doing elf right, clearly, because, listen to Kiran, what she does in 2.5 hours. So maybe let me give you a little bit of a smaller example, not at the speed of light, but the way I'm kind of discovering A to B for myself these days, that doesn't feel like I'm standing in the direct fire line. It doesn't feel like I have to do it immediately this instant. Is like, I'm writing a lot of blog articles for my other podcast work, and I can't just start the article and then leave it at some point, because it hurts my elfness. It really has to be A to B, otherwise I get confused, and then again nothing good comes out of it. So these days I do write the whole thing, but I write it, like I shared a little bit before, I write it in just cues. It's just notes. I just throw out the idea that's already in my head. And then, it's not sentences, but I can leave it, and I come back to it like the next day, because it feels like I have the skeleton. I already see the whole thing. I see the A to B. I see where it's going. It's just too slow to, bring the words on paper. And then, or it just needs some more time. And then I come back to it another day, or maybe sometimes even after a week. And then, it writes itself in a way. It's like there are these sentences, there are the phrases, there are the paragraphs, and it comes together as a whole. And it really brings across the point I want to bring across. But if I rush myself, I can't. It's too, So I do need a bit more time. But since it's not, I'm starting and sort of abandoning it somewhere in the middle, I still get the sense of completion in a way, and even though it's not finished. So I do envision what it's going to be, and I go all the way until the end of the vision. So it's elfy, not at the speed of light elfy, but elfy. So
I mean, yeah, it seems to be true. If you're an elf, lock the door and tell everyone to fuck off until you're done with your idea. You can be as arrogant as you want until you get to the end of your vision. Not the execution. Remember, you're the visionary. And dwarves, go for your grand gesture. Like my dwarf dad when we were little, my parents got divorced and he took the kids on a Disney cruise. So do it. You're the grand gesture people. And you can shoulder your way through something with no plan. That's your superpower. I was watching this enormous tunnel boring machine, and it's like a drill that's bigger than a 3-story house, and it carves tunnels for trains. That's the superpower of a dwarf. Just tunnel through. If you hit something on the way, backtrack and do the grand gesture. Hobbits, don't pressure yourself to know something until you've done it. The next move and inspiration will come in the doing. The form will reveal it to you. And you can tell people to fuck off if they're telling you to go faster.
Because you're the executor. You're executing. Yeah.
Exactly. Holy cow, we need the hobbits. We need the closers. And my wonderful gnomes. I have so many gnome friends. You're the detail people. That's your superpower. Details, nitty gritty. They get to matter to you in a way that they won't to anyone else. And no one's going to care as deeply, but that's your superpower. And humans, like we said, nobody else is going to know the appropriate Chanel suit better than you. And fairies, don't worry about the rules. Show up with a random outfit to the event because that is your superpower.
So the challenge is only when we either A, think we should be in a different rhythm, or B, think everyone else should be doing our rhythm. That everyone should shoulder through, or everyone should do grand gestures, or everyone should know the appropriate etiquette in this moment. I don't know, everyone should have a better vision. Everyone should be thinking faster towards the main vision, or, everyone should be actually slowing down. Like, we only run into problems when we expect others to have our rhythm, or we expect ourselves to have the rhythm of others. That's when we're in the messy zone.
The glitch, the black fire, the shame, the failing, not capable, unworthy. You got it wrong. Everything about you's wrong. Guilt.
Boo you.
Boo you. See you next time. Love.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. We obviously love hearing what you think. Your feedback helps us make a better show for you to listen to. So feel free to comment, and you can do it at Facebook, which is the Humans Decoded podcast. And if you're not on social, you can always email any questions to us at outreach@kirantrace.com. And thanks for listening. We love you.